Welcome to the Sapphire Tech YouTube channel. I've got another video card review for you now. This is the R7265 Sapphire graphics card, an entry-level card aimed at people that are looking to upgrade maybe for the first time, or people that are stuck on a tight budget, or they've got a secondary system, they've got invite friends round to play on another PC and don't want to spend too much money on that secondary system that's not going to be used so much. So a card like this could be really good for you. It's in addition quite small. It's only 9 inches across, so it should fit in most cases, and the power supply requirements are very low. You just need a 6-pin adapter on there, 75 watts to power into there. So pretty much should work on most power supplies and fit into most cases out there. In addition to that, it's around £100, this card, depending where you shop online for it, and has tremendously good features for £100, such as running 4K resolutions on the DisplayPort at 60 Hz, as well as the HDMI port at 30 Hz. And then for more the competitive side of gaming, we've got the dual DVI port here running at 144 Hz or 120, depending on what you want to run on. And then we have a single DVI port as well running 60 Hz. But essentially, this card could power up to 3 monitors as well. So using the Eyefinity technology in here, you can run up to 3 screens, which is awesome. And also we have the Crossfire bridge here, so you can double the power on this card entirely. On the front, obviously we have the Dual X cooler on there, keeping it nice and cool, hopefully. Well, it did for me anyway. But incredibly quiet, never revved up loud on this thing. It's a really good cooler on there. And also it has Mantle as well, so game developers that have been working with AMD graphics cards have increased the performance in some of the games that they've been working with, such as Battlefield 4, Thief, that are used in this review. So I'll be comparing Mantle against DirectX in some of these reviews, and I think we're going to have a look at our FPS results right now. So let's talk about some FPS results, and I mainly use Battlefield 4 multiplayer, and I tried it on several different maps, and I thought it was important to note that the FPS results really do vary from map to map in this game, including the single player campaigns. The single player campaigns, they add a lot more detail and textures, and it's just a lot more full on, I find, and you do drop a lot more frames in the single player campaign, especially on the Shanghai map where there's big watery effects and reflections going on everywhere. But multiplayer wise, it actually runs pretty well. On maximum settings, we're getting about an average of 47 frames, where on the low details for DirectX 11, we're getting about 110. And this is pretty damn good for a £100 card. It runs very consistent on DirectX 11, and I was expecting big things from Mantle, and I wasn't disappointed. Now, Mantle on ultra high settings was getting an average of 55 frames. That's about 8 FPS more than the DirectX 11 comparison, but you may think, well, that's not much, but this is a low to medium spec card, entry level card at about £100, so that's still pretty damn impressive by my eyes. And what's even more impressive is when you turn down those details low, because they skyrocket. Now this is running in low settings at the same resolution, and I'm getting an average of 139 frames. That's 29 frames more than DirectX 11 was running, and that, honestly, I didn't believe what I was seeing at first. That was a lot. That was a big increase. I was expecting maybe a 5-10 FPS lead, and that FPS lead just gets huger if you actually turn down the resolutions as well. Mantle just runs away with it, and for a card like this, if you're a dedicated Battlefield player, this could be a really good cheap pickup if you need some extra FPS kicking through your machine. So more benchmarking results here using the game Thief. This is a good demanding game that really puts the card to its limits. Again, we're comparing Mantle versus DirectX 11 like we did in Battlefield, but I thought it would be important to note, guys, that yes, the Mantle results are slightly ahead against in these comparisons, but bear in mind, these have been games designed to work with the card itself. So not every game is going to have Mantle with it. There's only a very short list of games at the moment. There are more game developers working with AMD and pushing this a lot more, but it's still very limited. So I think it's better to base your results on the DirectX 11 results, which are still very impressive, but just think of Mantle as an additional free bonus that you get with a Sapphire card or an AMD card. So just bear that in mind when you're making your purchase if you're looking to upgrade your computer. So the results are in, and Mantle getting 33 frames average on ultra high settings, whereas the ultra high settings on DirectX 11 only 32. So Mantle winning by 1 FPS. That's not that impressive. But in the low settings, we have 66 frames coming out for Mantle, whereas DirectX 11 was only getting an average of 60. So 6 FPS coming in favor of Mantle. And not the biggest overall victory there, but it's still one Mantle. But what is really interesting is when you drop the actual in-game resolutions down. This is where Mantle sort of gets a huge boost in performance in terms of DirectX 11. I'm talking 15 to 25 frames. That's ridiculously good, and the same applies to Battlefield 4 as well. So if you're willing to compromise your 1080p resolution to something a little bit lower, you're going to get more performance coming out of the card as well. So going to quickly round this card up now, and overall I think it was a great budget card. I think it's by far the best entry-level graphics card that I reviewed to date. It just ran flawlessly in the medium to low settings. Even some of the high settings it was doing really well at as well. I know a lot of people that would play on those high settings on a single player campaign just fine. Me personally, I will always lower the details down. I like to get a smooth, consistent frame rate, so my mouse doesn't jutter, I don't miss shots. That's my personal preference. There are people that are happy to play on 47 FPS on Battlefield for a single player campaign or multiplayer, just to make the game look good and immerse themselves in that experience. Whereas I like to get more FPS coming through. If that means lowering the details, so be it. But a card like this seems to handle the spectrums quite well, I find. And for £100, it's a bargain. And I would happily pick up this card for my second machine.